my name's Susan,
My name is Keith.
and we have been at St. Peter for 5 years. We have 2 sons, and our son Andrew is in 2nd grade, and our son David is in pre-K.
It's a pretty cool thing. Yeah, we just love it here. We really do. Yeah, I have actually grown up in Schaumburg. I was baptized right over in the church right over there as an infant, and my mom and dad attended here for many, many years. So that was a pretty cool thing. And then I went to a different church that was closer to our home. So, and then
I grew up in a different suburb, so I heard about St. Peter through a percussion teacher, and his kids went here. So I really didn't know anything about it, but he was raving about Mrs. Reck, and so I checked it out, and we've been here.
and the rest is history, I guess you could say. So.
And first of all, I was really impressed with the teachers, with the caring environment, and the fact that they were teaching values that align with our Christian faith, and the friendships that Andrew started to make, and I wanted those to continue on, past preschool and past kindergarten. And that we just saw that this was a community that we wanted to be a part of. We did, as well as for our sons. So we just thought that it was a quality place. I guess the word whole comes to mind. Like, I feel like St. Peter looks out for the whole person, the education of the whole child, spiritual, emotional, academic, and it seemed to just fit all those components in my head. So.
And I'd like to chime in on that too. Susan and I had quite a few conversations about when do we really pump money into the children's education outside of like the public school type of a tax-based funds that would go on towards education. And one thing that we wanted to really focus in on is let's go ahead and front load our money into our child. And the more I started to really think about that during the last 5 years, the more I started to realize that when you really front load money into a child's education, the more you're going to get at the backside. So for example, if someone were to say, okay, we're going to go ahead and take that money that we're paying into St. Peter, now we're just going to let the tax money take care of this whole thing and just go into public education. And not saying that public schools aren't good, but what we really wanted to do is to front load it, because when you start taking a look at backloading things and just saving money for college and things like that, we might not have really established a really good solid foundation educationally speaking for the kids. And when you really start taking a look at colleges and things like that, I know Susan and myself, we could both attest to it, and anybody that goes to a college, the dropout rate is really, really, really high. And the last time I looked into it, it was about 1/3 of the US population actually has a bachelor's degree. And in my program for music education, we started over with 90 kids going into music education, and by the time I had graduated, there were just 11 left. All those kids had dropped out, and it was not a change in major. It was all those kids had dropped out of school. And what is really, why? So, I think just front loading it and putting money in at the front end instead of the back end, giving the kids a really good educational foundation so that they could be successful later on. The teachers here, in my opinion, are all in. It's not about the paycheck, it's not about the summers off, it's not about any of that kind of thing. These teachers are all in. Not only educationally speaking, but they pray for our kids too. They pray for them, and I think that's just a really, really valuable thing.
I think they care, they're committed, they're more than competent, and they listen. I think every single time in 5 years that I have emailed or discussed something with a teacher here, I feel like they hear me and they adjust, and it gives me as a parent tremendous peace of mind. I drop them off and I feel peace. I know that they are safe, like they're cared for, they are learning and thriving. And I think what more could a parent want? And from day one, and every year teachers have delivered on all the promises, and I just I don't know, we're staying. The more I took the initiative and got involved with various activities, the more I started to feel part of the St. Peter community. And I think, especially during this year, just knowing who those parents are and being able to just shoot out a text, how you doing, and have that bond, that sense of we're in this together, and I don't know, just community.
I think personally too that everyone on staff here is here for us. You know, and I think 1860 something or whatever the year the church was formed and the school was formed. I just think that, you know, having a religious school with the whole prayer aspect, the educational aspect, these folks are here for people, you know, and I think that's just such a valuable thing. And we've seen that this year with the pandemic going on. The teachers are all in and they're here every day for these kids. And it's just such a valuable thing. And then plus in addition to that, the staff members have been here for us too, so that we could actually support our children a little bit more during pretty difficult times. It's just been incredible. I think 1860 something or whatever the year the church was formed and the school was formed. I just think that, you know, having a religious school with the whole prayer aspect, the educational aspect, these folks are here for people, you know, and I think that's just such a valuable thing. And we've seen that this year with the pandemic going on. The teachers are all in and they're here every day for these kids. And it's just such a valuable thing. And then plus in addition to that, the staff members have been here for us too, so that we could actually support our children a little bit more during pretty difficult times. It's just been incredible. What I noticed about that was how well laid out the drop-off and the pickup was. Every kid's going to be coming in and out the same doors. All these classrooms are isolated. If there ever was an outbreak or something, then you have it in an isolated room where it won't affect the entire school. And you know, there really hasn't been any issue here. It just has been a really, really positive thing. And just the kids just want to come to school too. And they're here every day. It's just a beautiful thing through all this. They've been here every school day. It's been awesome.
One of our sons has said that it's very different, and yet he still loves coming here because of his friends and because he can learn in person. So while they can't do exactly the same thing, they've been able to thrive and learn and continue on their learning path. Consistent communication from Principal Zilke has been really clear and very reassuring and positive, and all the protocols are, you know, they're easily accessible. He's been, like I said, clear and encouraging. I think also communication with the teachers, you know, I just always feel like they're approachable and they respond right away. So I think also just the ability just to endure and to forge ahead and to stay the course and to remain people of faith during this struggle, this pandemic, during times of stress. And it's just been a wonderful refuge, if I can use that word, during what has been sort of an unpredictable time. I like that they encourage the kids to be people of service through food pantry, through donating to missions, chapel, where they hear lessons on various character traits, stories about Jesus that are very thought-provoking, that spur conversations for us at home so we can piggyback on what they're learning. And also academically, the AR program, definitely motivational. I think having incentives has been really helpful for Andrew, goals to work towards. And certainly the enrichment program, that's been new for him this year, and he's really enjoyed that a lot. And in first grade, Mrs. Burbick was really good about interpreting map scores and individualizing instruction to push the kids to their greatest potential. And I saw that week to week to week, and I just saw such growth, even during e-learning. Yeah, for sure.
I know from a few discussions with Mr. Zilke that this school is really close to being a Blue Ribbon Award winner for excellence in education by the U.S. Department of Education. And to have something of that type of designation for a school, the school has to be like crazy, crazy good. And I know they're really close to being able to get that. The testing scores in this school have been just really, really through the roof when you take a look at percentage of how many kids here are meeting or exceeding versus other schools. It's just, it's a huge thing. It really is. So that's one thing. And then the second thing is having the Jesus component, which is so, so important, which also help us to become more morally grounded and fundamentally speaking, and it's just, and knowing those stories about Jesus on a daily basis and how it fits into our lives and in the current context too. I think that's really important for me and our kids too.
I think this is a school that strives to educate the whole person, and I'm not saying that can't happen in other contexts, but I really feel as a parent very confident when I leave my child that the community of faculty and staff are trying to do that very thing. And I have found that to be so true here, and I encourage anyone to think about a Christian education. Think about it like long and hard, because this is your child, and nothing's more important than the cultivation of their mind, body, and spirit. And I think that is so beautifully done here, and that like families should consider that as a very, very strong option. So it's worth every penny in my book. I've never questioned it ever, and we just take it day by day, but we're super happy here.
I also like to chime in too, the foundation, educationally speaking, the better the education is when a child is young, the more of an opportunity the child will have when they get older. So if you don't have a solid education at the beginning, the later years, it's really, really super hard to catch up. And all the way from pre-K into kindergarten, go all the way up. It's crazy solid here, so they do a great job.
I'd like to add one other thing, and that, when I ask my children how was their day, and they say, awesome! That gives me, as a parent, just such joy. That they are growing and learning. That they're happy, and that they're safe, and they're challenged, and what could it speaks for itself.
When we play, we have a discussion at dinner almost every night called Roses and Thorns, and we talk about what was the rose for the day, what was the thorn for the day. And almost every single time that we have the rose moment with our two children, it happens to deal with school. And that speaks for itself, coming from a pre-K kid and then a second grader, always talking about what happened here as being my rose. The highlight of the day happened here. That's a pretty cool thing.
One last thing, I know I keep talking. Friendship. When he mentioned that made me think of the friendships that have evolved over the last 5 years for Andrew, and now this is the second year for David, and the similar names just keep popping up in conversation. And I think for every child, friendship is so crucial to their growth. And I think one of the advantages of a smaller school is the development of that, and being part of the community. Not saying it can't happen in larger schools, and so I thought I'd just add that.
Yeah. Is there
having a preschool that sets a child up to be able to read when they get to kindergarten, and then at the end of kindergarten being able to read as well as they do, and I was shocked at how well our oldest was, how well he was reading at the end of kindergarten. Now he's at the end of second grade, and he's well above the traditional second grade reading level. And each and every single step of the way has just been just crazy strong, especially in helping him develop his reading and math skills and things like that. So it's really crazy good.
I've observed that each teacher sees each child, sees their strengths, their weaknesses, and addresses those challenges or needs in a very individual way. And I think as a parent, it gives me confidence. And as I talk to other parents, I've gotten that impression as well. They are more than committed, and I see their faith in action. And yeah, I just feel confident that they are leading them from point A to point B to point C, you know, through the year as they grow.
But at church, they would always say, "We're here for you, and we're here for your family. Whatever you need, we're here." I remember being inside of a meeting, and they were talking about what one of the mission statements of this particular congregation is to make this school the best school that they could for these families that come through here. And it really made me think about how much they are here for families from the Schaumburg community and other communities just barely outside of Schaumburg. How much they're here for each and every single person that walks through this school. And that's one of their main missions that I see as a parent sending a child here, that they're here for these kids. And that's one of the main reasons why I want my child to come here, knowing that they're here for that child and here for these families and here for this community. And since, 1846, it's just crazy that they're here every day. It's an amazing thing for me thinking about that.
One other thing that I personally have enjoyed are the like preschool programs, the choir program, and events where the students can do some public speaking, and I feel that develops their confidence. They have something to work towards. But those various programs and presentations and chapel services where the kids can work on exercising their faith and talking about their faith in a public way is another aspect that I appreciate about St. Peter. I think it's something that I teach high school, and I see like I've noticed that St. Hubert kids and St. Peter kids, they do have that. There's something about that's like confidence. Mm-hmm. It's in there because it's a faith community. It's small. They've gotten a lot of individual attention. Yeah, the operetta that they did, and they even in the preschool, having to memorize songs or and then present them publicly. And I think that's
and memorize scripture for that matter too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they do that in other school settings too. But the frequency really helps build their confidence. Yeah.
As public educators, and I love being a teacher, and I feel like I'm a servant of Christ working inside of a public school. So I cherish my job. I've loved it every day. Okay. However, the move to the thought that we're in a digital age and we should be on digital things, computers all the time, tablets all the time, phones all the time, and getting into computer programming, whatever have you, we're forgetting sometimes about some of the basics, such as like how to write and read cursive and how to look at an analog clock. Okay, it's just things like that I think are very valuable. So, and I was just thinking about this a few days ago. I mean, if we're not going to learn how to write in cursive, how would those children read letters by their great grandparents, down the road when they come across something? are they going to read that, or how you can communicate with somebody that doesn't really have a computer and that kind of thing, and you need to write to those folks like your grandparents or maybe an elderly great grandparents. So it's just something that I value, that we have those types of skills being taught here.
I think it's important because it teaches patience and being exact, and there's something developmentally happening when you are learning cursive that I think has fallen by the wayside, and I appreciate that St. Peter teaches that, and that they do some traditional teaching, such as focusing on spelling, and embraced Common Core and finding a balance in those educational models. And again, coming back to the well-rounded, it's not just about math and reading, although those are super important, but social studies, history, science, health, geography. Miss Olson had the geography club. So there's Lego club. That's a little bit of a tangent, but definitely having some of those traditional models as well as embracing the new technologies and curriculums. Having the Kid Care program has been really a lifesaver, just in terms of just navigating life, and some very caring individuals taking care of the kids before and after school when we can't be there, and just really appreciated that program.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.